Our next speaker is Sara Sartorius. And Sara brings a fantastic experience from marketing and other areas. And she will be talking about marketing the DASH survey. So I'm looking forward to this. Sara, by all means, take it away.
Hello, thank you very much, Sean, and thank you very much for letting me have a platform today to talk about my experience with marketing the DASH survey. Just a quick poll initially. Does anybody know what the DASH survey is? Has anybody heard of it? Bit tumbleweed there. Well, okay, well, perfect. Right. Oh, fantastic. Yes, completed it recently, no idea. Karen, Joe, no sorry. So for those who do not know, it is an initiative. Oh, fantastic, Ruth, thank you very much. It's an initiative for the what? The DASH survey, Matthew. It's basically stands for digital attitudes and skills for heritage. So obviously the heritage sector covers a vast range from libraries, museums, art galleries, small community groups, a variety of things. I think heritage was basically our history, isn't it? It's basically a UK focused survey, and basically what we want to really find out is where everybody is digitally, a bit like what our speaker was just talking about, how utilizing tools, how sort of everybody's managing with this new kind of world post-COVID, using tools and various things like that. Anyway, without further ado, I'll just introduce myself. So I am, I will share my screen. I am Sara Sartorius from the Fifth Sector. The Fifth Sector has been running for 10 years. We're based in Liverpool. So please do bear with me. I'm working from a working office, so there might be a bit of noise. There's also, I'm based in the Baltic Triangle of Liverpool, so there's an awful lot of sort of building work and various things going on as well. It's a very exciting time for Liverpool. Anyway, the Fifth Sector has been going for 10 years, and we predominantly look after not just UK, it's also global based consultancy on culture, heritage. We also work with educational establishments, mainly focusing on the digital side of transformation and consultancy. Anyway, I was commissioned as part of the Heritage Alliance and to support marketing for a concept of the DASH survey. And this is quite an interesting concept. So initially, the survey is a survey. It's just to find out where the heritage sector in the UK is in terms of how it's doing for digital attitudes, how the skills are within the organisations, and really to feed back to the National Lottery Heritage Fund the status of the sector. Now, what's really important about that is to see what the investment has been made by the Heritage Lottery Fund over the last few years, but also, has it made an impact? Is there more to do? So it's an incredibly important survey. It was also brought and delivered partly by the Heritage Alliance. So that was a really good strategic positioning. So with the Heritage Alliance has many, many members in the heritage sector. And Timis Limited, that's Timis Research Limited, were the technical delivery partners. So basically, Dr. Tabitha Newman is a statistician. She ran it last year and she's running it this year, and she's basically the analyst behind it, creating the models for the data. So initially, it is just a survey on the face of it. But the interesting challenge is it's trying to extract the information from heritage, which is vast and wide, and to understand different, not competency, but different kind of feelings of where people are at. And that includes staff, trustees and volunteers. So it's a lot of things to kind of measure over demographic. It's also age, intergenerational, lots and lots of parameters here to kind of really look at. It's a free service. So basically, if you take part, it takes about 3 minutes to sign up. The other dependencies that we want people to fill out within the organisation, the survey, so we can basically get a good understanding of the broad range of capabilities within organisations. And what you kind of get back from that is a dashboard and the findings, so you can kind of see how you're doing basically within your own organisation. Then what we do is we also we then benchmark that across the UK. So that's the really interesting bit. So hopefully in the new year, if we get enough response, we can have a really good map of what the heritage sector is like. It was successfully trialled last year. So there was 280 participants in last year, and there were some really good findings through that. So really, why and what's the main point of sort of like taking part in DASH? It's really good for individuals to reflect on what their digital needs are and their presence. The organisations can identify their sort of organisation and improve the way that they work. And for the heritage sector, it's really important because we know where we are. It's like a situation analysis, really, of where the actual sector is. So if there's needs for it to improve, if there's funding areas, if there's specific things that is repetitive and something like there's a trend analysis, then the fund can actually allocate monies or do a bit of, or can put something in place to address that. So for the sector, it's so important. Oh. Don't know why it's not, sorry. There we go. So here's the process. And then this is the interesting thing, the process. I mean, we do share the process with people. It's probably not the right thing to do because it's overly complicated, but it does show transparency, I suppose, in the process. So a individual, and we've called them the DASH champion, a individual from an organisation completes a sign up, which is like 3 minutes. We then send a specific link back to that individual that they then cascade down into staff and volunteers within their organisation. This data is then stored. We get Dr. Tabitha Newman to analyse the data and rank it in terms of the parameters that she's set in terms of sort of not competencies, but experience and levels and stuff like that. You'll get your own sort of report back. However, it makes up part of the overall picture for the sector for the UK. So there's a national report at the end of it. It's quite a complicated process, but the thing is, it's so transparent that we're taking everything, and we are dependent on people being very honest and open. A lot of the respondents that you will get internally is anonymous. So the thing is that some people can feel a peace of mind that they're not, you know, their results aren't being shared with anybody else. They can be open honestly. So it's an interesting sell, really. And I can't kind of say sell it from a marketing point of view. And that was my sort of task to do, is to kind of sell this concept to people, to try and drive them to kind of understand that and obviously use that in a conceptual way, because there's so much benefits that come from just actually doing this activity. But the main thing and the main barriers to this is people's time and people's effort to actually sort of participate, which we totally understand. It's something that people aren't committed to do, i.e., you know, the funding wasn't sort of like, you know, weighted to do this. So it's not an agreement, you know, in any contract whatsoever. So it's really something about the actual sector wanting to tell us this information. But at the end of the day, if the heritage sector can tell us this, then we can feed it back to the right people to make that change. And that was a really incredibly difficult set of kind of communications to kind of give somebody, because it's quite overwhelming, really. So the challenge, so I'm talking on a marketing level now I've got the concept and the various barriers out the way. We had 9 weeks from a standing start. So it was the end of, I think it was basically the first week in September that the campaign started. I think I was brought on board about 2 weeks prior to that. Our success is that we need 500 organisations to come on board and 5,000 individual responses. So that's, you know, 10 times that 500. So hopefully the individuals within that organisation can do that. Obviously from that, you know, we get a better, clearer picture about where the sector is. Obviously, the more responses we get, the better understanding we can have. So there was a big, steep targets for this. So I will talk a little bit about my strategy. So it was incredibly agile. So the strategy was, for the first couple of weeks, the educational strategy. So it's talking about the concepts, the benefits, the reason why we should all do it. Again, let's focus on that. It's not something that, you know, there's an incentive to do. The incentive to do it is an audit on your own business, whether or not, you know, a lot of people think, well, I know where I'm at, so this, that, and the other. And the other element of it is to also help people like main funders to understand what the sector needs. So it's really, really challenging because it's based on those things, and then there's lots of challenges from the sector. And I'd like to, I'm going to go back there. I'd really like to know today if anyone is from the sector, could they just share maybe challenges that they are facing, because then I can feed that back as well as part of this survey. That'd be absolutely brilliant if you could do that for me today. And then the second phase was, and all of this, by the way, is over digital. So the interesting fact of the matter is we had 3 different partners. We had the Heritage Alliance, which have their own membership. We have the National Lottery Heritage Fund, which have a massive reach. And we also have Timmis Research. So what the challenge was to create a set of comms that straddled across these audiences, but obviously each sort of stakeholder group had their own comms team and had their own way of talking to their own members, their own also stakeholders. So it's been a massive challenge to sort of give them something that they can then translate into the comms from that. There's a second phase, because it's very agile, only 9 weeks, a conversion. So it was kind of like, you know, saying that other people had done it. So we were highlighting various people who had joined in Museum Scotland and people like that who are big names, and also little names, you know, sort of that we use to say it's big and small, lots of different people are joining in, so that can build that trust, because obviously people are seeing these messages online. It's their time. There's lots of barriers really for them to do that. Then we had the Dash Day, which was basically a concept where we had voices from the sector who'd taken part. We had Tabitha talking about last year, the results from last year and what we wanted to try this year, and try and engage really online with influencers, people who are interested. And then in the afternoon of the Dash Day, we had a networking roundtable with people that we've called the Dash Champion. So I've listed that, the Dash Champion. We came up with the concept of the person within that organisation, kind of in a way, you know, sort of distributing the survey to other people and being the sort of cheerleader in a way for the survey. For phase 4 that we're going into now is Dash Voices, and that is videos that we've asked people to do. So really helpfully, you know, we've got Helen Adams online who recorded a video, you know, a film for us, and also Helen Cunliffe from National Historic Ships as well, talking about her experience of doing Dash. It just really helps to influence, and we've put those on, you know, like YouTube, and sending those through social media. But this whole sort of very agile process is about influencing, really. I mean, this isn't a sort of a kind of bums on seats sell. It's very much a relationship, asking people to really give their information to us, that we can show a true picture, really. And the phase 5 is Dash, all or nothing, I call it. So we've only got until the 7th of November to collate all the responses, and then start the big report about the Dash survey for this year. So my phase 5 is all or nothing, is a bit like, please, time's running out, please get involved. You know how important this is, because it can shape the future of the funding for heritage, can shape the support that's been given to the sector. You know, we understand though, it's a really hard line, because it's we understand that there's a lot of things going on in the sector, but we really do need the feedback, really. And we know we're asking a lot, because it's sort of, you know, collaboration and information when there's a lot of things going on in the sector. Anyway, so just to quickly talk about audience, and I'll wrap up really quickly in a second. So what I did was I kind of created a matrix of audiences and slightly tweaked my sort of tonal voice to them. So we've got beneficiaries, so the heritage organisations, freelancers, volunteers, micro-organisations. So these are the people who will benefit, hopefully, they will benefit from the survey, because the insight will be given to funding organisations and to reflect what the needs of the sector are. We then targeted supporters, so it's local authority, heritage bodies, to pass that message on, because we wanted the participation and the volume of reach. Influencers, people who've already completed the survey, to add their voice, heritage organisations to add their voice, micro-influencers to talk about it. Also what I'd call this, created a new sort of segment, the heritage digital warriors. So people like the public knowing about it, volunteers, digital enthusiasts knowing about it, because even, the report will be free to view. So there'll be really interesting insights there academically as well, even for benchmarks across global, reach and whatnot. So, the more participation, the better the research, the better the kind of data. Everyone benefits, really. Anyway, I'll just finish on some artwork that I've created. So obviously we concentrated very much on some Welsh language translations, and also there you can see sort of the artwork there, the Dash Survey 2021. We focused on sort of like areas of heritage, so sort of museums and galleries, and then obviously the voices from last year. Only 1 in 6 heritage sector staff get the chance to share their digital practice with others. That was a takeaway from last year's survey. So it was a really good insight. And then obviously the Dash Champion concept that we wanted to know, we wanted to highlight that there was an individual within that organisation that was like signing up the organisation, but also when we generate the survey links, they're sending those out to their colleagues. They don't really have to do much after that. They can, they can chivvy people along in their organisations. But what will happen is once people fill out the surveys individually within the organisations, that Dash Champion then gets their dashboard of results and the data, and they can share that with board members and various other people within the organisation. It's very much a digital audit. So again, adapting the communications. So what we did was we tried to convey set areas in the sector where we really needed participation. So looking at the data was a really good part of the process. With Dr. Tabitha Newman, we could see that some parts of the sector were not covered, say the southwest of the UK. So obviously targeting sort of heritage to that area, or things like a lot of libraries weren't taking part in the survey, so putting Preston Library in there as an imagery again, something that's visually representative and hopefully can resonate. And then obviously we've heard from the Roald Dahl Museum who've taken part, so we've also used that sort of thing, like the Roald Dahl Museum has taken part, why don't you? So it's a really good way of sort of marketing on social media platforms that, come on, you've got to lend your voice to this survey. So anyway, yes, so that's it, and thank you very much. Any questions, or obviously we can wait until the QA later on.